Lisa here from Fun Stuff Crafts. So glad you could join me for another Inspiration Friday. So I'm really excited about the project this week. This was inspired by my aunt. Years ago, she gave me a cute little pouch that I could use when I traveled. I used to travel a lot for work, and I could put my jewelry in it. And I ran across that the other day, and I thought, you know what, I could make a larger one, and I could use it for makeup. And I could make the material be vinyl on the inside, so it would be easily wiped down. And so that is how I came up with this cute little project that is a makeup bag that's got a vinyl on the inside. So I can't wait to show you. There's a couple different options of what you can do to make your fabric be vinyl. I'm going to tell you about both of them, and I'm going to show you one. So stay tuned. I'll meet you at my sewing table. And by the way, if you're new to my channel and this is the first time you stop by, make sure you click on the subscribe button and click on the little bell, and YouTube should alert you each time I upload a new video. I try to do that every Friday. That's why we call it Inspiration Friday. So hold tight and I will join you at my sewing table. Okay, so let's get started on this Inspiration Friday project. So before we get started, I want to show you how cute this one is that I made last week. So it has got a drawstring on it. It just opens right up. So if I want to get to all of my makeup's right there, and then I can just zip it shut. Okay, really cute, really easy to use. And I'm going to show you how we are going to make the inside waterproof. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I've got my makeup, things spill and you just need to have the opportunity to wipe things down. So I'm going to show you how to do that with this Inspiration Friday project. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to be using. So what I like to start out with is about 2/3 fabric. And I like to pick something that's going to be on the outside and something that's going to be on the inside. You can do whatever combination. You could actually use the same if you wanted. So I've got 2/3 of this fabric and I've got 2/3 of a yard of this fabric. Okay, so, and I'm using just a basic cotton fabric. Then what I'm going to need is some cording, and I just actually picked this up at the Dollar Tree. So it's just basic cording. And then these stops are just so cute, and I picked up a whole pile of them at Amazon, and I'll make sure I put links down below to everything, but pick a color that you like that will match your project. I am going to show you how we're going to mark how big our project's going to be, and I like using these heat erasable fabric marking pens. So they come in a couple different colors, so we're going to be using that. We're going to use my trusty rotary blade, or of course you guys can use a pair of scissors. And then I am going to be using my ruler here, my plastic ruler here, to mark and create the circle that we're going to be doing. The other thing that we're going to be using is we are going to be using a product that is going to make that piece inside waterproof, and it is an iron-on vinyl, and I'll make sure that I put a link to what the packaging looks like up on the page. For some reason I must have thrown away my packaging. Another option that you can use that I've used in the past is Odie Coat. And Odie Coat is a gel coating, waterproof and stain resistant that you can put on bags and different products. The one thing about Odie Coat is it needs a couple layers and it needs 24 hours to dry. Whereas this solution, I'm going to iron it right on and we're going to get sewing right away. So two options that you can do, whichever one that you want to use. But I'm going to show you today how to use the iron-on vinyl. So let's go ahead and start with creating our circles. So I like to make mine big enough so when I open it up, I've got room for my makeup. And so I am going to start out with a 18.5-inch square or circle. Okay, so I've got my 30 yard of material here, you guys. Okay, and I've got the fold, so it's folded in half, and I've got the fold right here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it folded, and I'm gonna bring it over one more time, okay? So what we have right now is we've got 4 layers of material, okay? And this is just a quick, easy way that I've learned to mark a circle, okay? So I've got my, get this into the camera view so you guys can see it. And I said that I wanted to do a 18.5 inch circle. So what I'm gonna do is divide my 18 and a half, in half, which is gonna be 9 1/4. And I am going to, since I've got this in 4 layers, I just need to mark it. So I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm going to mark it right at 9 1/4. And if my pen wants to work, try the other one. There we go. Okay, 9 1/4. And then I'm just going to go around the circle, and I'm going to make, I keep that point. It's really important, you guys, you keep that point right where it's at and keep marking in the same position in your ruler. Okay, so I'm going all the way around here. Okay, so I've got markings for, okay, so all the way around here, it's 1/4 of my circle, right? So it is 9 1/4 is going to make an 18.5 inch circle, okay? So now I could either use my rotary blade if I feel really confident in that, which I'm going to do for you guys, or you could use scissors, okay? So with my rotary blade, keeping my fingers away from the blade, I'm going to very carefully follow my lines and create my circle. I got one little piece that didn't quite cut. Okay, so now if we open this up, you guys are going to see that I now have a circle, okay, that measures out. My ruler here is 18, and I've got an extra 1/2 inch. So I've got an 18.5 inch circle, okay? So now it's really easy to do the second one. We don't need to mark, we don't need to use our pens anymore, because we're gonna use this one as our pattern piece, okay? So again, I've got a 1/3 yard of material. There's my 1/3 of a yard. I'm going to fold it in half again, okay? So again, 4 layers of material, right? Okay, and then I'm just going to lay this one right on top, okay? And again, you can use scissors here, you guys, or you can use your rotary blade, okay? And I'm just very carefully using my rotary blade, and I'm going around the edge, and now I've got my second circle, okay? So we've got 2 18-inch circles ready to go, okay? The next thing we need to do is we need to cut our vinyl, okay? So we're gonna do the exact same thing here, you guys. We're gonna use one of our pieces as a pattern. And for the vinyl now, I am actually going to open it up. And I'm gonna do it on the reverse side, so I can draw on the paper, okay? And I am going to use scissors for cutting out the vinyl, okay? So again, I'm going to use my pen. Don't necessarily need to use a fabric pen here, but I'm just going to, oops, do a line. Now this does not come in an 18-inch width, so, but you can piece this vinyl together. Okay, now what I'm going to do, you guys, is I am not going to use my fabric scissors. I'm going to use my other small scissors here, and I'm going to cut out Doesn't have to be perfect because we've got seam allowance that's going to be going on when we sew all of this together. This is fun stuff to use on all types of makeup bags, even placemats, you guys. Anything you want to wipe down. I mean, you're basically creating your own piece of vinyl. I know you can buy material that's already got vinyl on it, but just think of the possibilities when you can add your own vinyl. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to figure out how much more of a piece I need. Okay, so what I like to do is lay it out this way, and then I'm going to take my vinyl. Let's hope I have enough. And I'm going to open up my vinyl, and I'm going to lay it right underneath. Okay, and I'm going to measure up where that comes. Okay, I'm going to use my pen, and I'm going to mark out. I'm going to use my grid down there just. Okay, so all I'm trying to do is figure out how much more vinyl I need. Okay, not a perfect draw whatsoever at all, you guys, but we're going to be just fine with that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut that piece out. And I need to decide what side I want on the inside and what side I want on the outside with my fabric. And I am going to use this pretty red, it's kind of red with some gold stars. I'm going to keep that for my outside piece. Okay, so I'm going to set that off to the side for right now, and I'm going to bring my inside piece in. Okay, now I've got my iron turned on. Okay, and I'm going to grab up my ironing board, my little portable board I have. And what we're going to do is we are going to press on this vinyl. Okay, so I'm going to press out my fabric, make sure that it's nice and pressed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do all of that at once. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the small piece first, and what you do is you are going to peel off the backing paper. Okay, I'm going to peel it off, and I'm going to save that piece because I'm going to use it, and I am going to put my vinyl and lay it right down there. Now, you guys, really important here. As you guys notice, this is my wrong side of my fabric. This is my right side of my fabric, okay? I'm putting the vinyl on the right side, okay? Because that's the side I want to show inside, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I am going to take the piece that was on top of the vinyl, okay? And I am going to put it on top. Do not put your iron straight down on this vinyl, okay? It will ruin your iron. Make sure you cover it. Okay, peel that back up. Okay, and I've got that piece in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bigger piece on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and peel it off. And sometimes when I have a really large piece like this, what I like to do is just take one section at a time. Okay. And what I mean by that is don't peel it all the way off yet. Okay, so this is the start. And I just kind of bend it over this way. Okay, and if I overlap a little bit, I'm fine. And then I'm just going to pull it down. Okay, and you might need to pick it up a little bit. Being ornery with me. As long as I don't have my iron on, on it yet, you can move it around. Okay. Let's get that piece out of the way for a minute so I can get this set just straight, you guys. So see, I've got lots of time that I can play with it. That top piece is already done, but this piece isn't, okay? So, go ahead and pull that back off because that is being really ornery. Okay, let's do this side first, okay? So I'm just gonna get that measured up. I'll let it overlap just a little bit there, which is perfectly fine. And I'm gonna make it nice and smooth, okay? So my vinyl is on there. It's overlapping my fabric a little bit, which is perfectly fine, you guys. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that big piece back again that I just pulled off the backing. I'm gonna put shiny side down, okay? And I'm gonna press. Okay, make sure that you do not hit your iron on the vinyl, you guys. Really, really important. Okay, so I'm just gonna all the way around there. Okay. Go back. Okay. I'm just gonna flip it over. I'm going to give it a really good press, okay? I have a little bit hanging over the edges here, and again, I'm making sure that I don't touch my iron with that, okay? Follow the directions on the packaging when you're putting this on, okay? We now have a piece of fabric that is all waterproof, okay? Perfect. Okay, so we got the first part done, okay? So we're gonna set this piece aside, and now what we're gonna work on is, remember in the bag I showed you, it's got a drawstring. Well, one of the items that helps the drawstring is setting a grommet. You guys can see it. I've got a grommet right there on this project. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we are going to set that grommet. You always want to do that before you start sewing. Okay, you guys, I'm not quite sure what happened, but something happened with my video when I was getting ready to put the grommet in. So what I want to show you is I picked up this grommet kit, and it was really slick. It came all in this little box from Amazon, and I'll make sure that I put the links down. It's got great directions on showing how to install a grommet. Okay, what it comes with is, it comes with a cutter, I would call it, a setter, and a base. There's probably more technical names to it than that, but that's what I'm gonna call it. And then from the grommet side, these are extra large, and it's got a top piece, right? And it's a little bit longer, okay? And then it has got a cap piece. Okay, so it's got the cap piece. So these are the two pieces that we are going to be using, okay? And so what I like to do is I like to measure where I'm going to be putting my grommet in, okay? So I'm just gonna grab a ruler I've got here handy, and I am gonna go out right about 1.5 inches, okay? So I've got this little piece of wood I'm gonna put under my fabric because I don't want to cut into my mat, okay? And so I'm gonna go right about there. I've got my wood in place, okay? I'm gonna put my little cutter there, and what you do is you put the cutter with the little block, okay? And it should cut through and cut out a perfect piece of material for me, okay? Now there's a little loose end on there, so I am just going to pull my threads and get that out of there. Okay, so there's the first thing. Okay, then what we're going to do is we are going to take the top half of the grommet and we are going to put it in the from the good side. Okay, so really key here, that's going to be your good side. Okay, then I'm going to roll it over. Okay, and I am going to place it on the base. This is the base that comes with it, and you're going to put it right there on that base. Okay, and then I'm going to put the cap on just like that. Okay, and once I get the cap on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the setter and I'm going to put that right like this. Okay, and then you are going to hammer it. And I always like to check it. Okay, and we have got a perfectly set grommet. So that's what I did on the bag material, and I apologize something happened to that video, but I wanted to make sure I showed you guys how to set a grommet. So next up is we're going to be at the sewing machine. Okay, full disclosure, crafters, this is my second go round with sewing in the pieces together. And so I want you guys to note that I went ahead and redid this with pins instead of with clips. One thing I had forgot, Lisa should have remembered that you put vinyl on fabric and it is super slippery. So what I did is I have got this completely pinned all the way around, and then I've got a couple pins in the middle too, just to keep it in place. Okay, I still have my double pins where I'm going to start and stop, and my grommet is still over here on the back side. The other thing I'm going to do is the inside of my fabric, it definitely shrinks up a little bit when you put the vinyl on. And so my yellow fabric is smaller than my maroon fabric. And so I am going to do my seam based on my yellow fabric, okay? So my maroon fabric is here, my yellow fabric is on top, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing that I started to do before. And I'm going to remove my pins as I go. Bring my little pin pad over here, and I'm going to remove them as I go. And we are going to start sewing. Try this second time around. Back stitch, and then you guys, I'm going to let you guys watch me sew, but I am going to... Started in the wrong spot, Lisa. So we're just going to move that up. I'm still covering my grommet, so I'm still good. Okay, so I'm just going to fast forward through here and watch you guys, let you guys watch me sew. Okay, so I have sewn all the way around. I always like to take a quick look just to make sure that I haven't missed any of my seams, and I haven't. And so I am going to join you back over at the sewing table for our next step. Okay, so we're back over at the sewing table, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to trim up my edges, and I like to do that just because it makes for the turning so much better, and I don't need all that extra fabric salvage basically on the inside of the bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip this all the way around before we turn it right side out, okay? And this is where you guys can really see how that fabric, you can really see where the fabric changed sizes on me, okay? You can also see where I made my first stitch and it wasn't working right. Just gonna go ahead and all the way around there, okay? So now let's get rid of those pieces. And then where I've got my opening, let's go ahead and clip those seams. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right side out. Okay. Now it takes a little bit, you guys, because of that vinyl, but just work it. Sometimes I find if I just get it stuffed through and then I kind of play with it going out. Okay. And then what we want to do is I like to put my hand in and just press those seams out. Okay, so I'm just going to go all the way around with my hand. I'm just really giving it a finger press. Okay, and then I'm going to bring my ironing board back up. And we are going to press. Do not press on this side, you guys. We still have that vinyl there, okay? But now you can give this a really nice press, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to hop back over to the sewing machine, and we are going to make a case, an encasement for our tie. You guys, we are just about done with this project. Not much longer. What I'm going to do is we're going to do an encasement for the tie, and we're going to pull it through. We're going to add our little stop on, and we're going to be ready to go. Okay, so why don't you join me back over at the sewing table. But before we do this, one thing I do like to do is I do like to get, this is where my opening is, and I do like to give that a good press. But be very careful, you guys. I can't express how important it is to make sure that you don't touch that vinyl, okay? And if you get concerned about it, you can always throw a Teflon sheet over, or any cotton, any type of sheet, pull it over, okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to meet you back over at the sewing machine, and we are going to sew a seam all the way around a top stitch, and then we're going to sew a second seam all the way around for the casing for our cord to go through. Okay, so meet me over at the sewing table. Okay, one thing I do want to mention here is now that we've got the vinyl on the outside and you can see the shininess, this is problematic sewing on the sewing machine, okay? And so what I like to do is, if you guys have got a Teflon or a plastic foot for your sewing machine, this is my metal one I had in, I'm going to take that off and I'm going to put my plastic foot in. It definitely helps for the fabric to go through. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to put my outside down on the bottom, okay? What I mean by that is where my feet are of my sewing machine, I don't want them touching this vinyl, okay? So the vinyl is going to be on the top layer, okay? So this is the inside of my bag. This is going to be the outside of my bag, okay? So the outside of my bag is going to be down below, okay? Now this time we are going to be doing a stitch all the way around, and I am going to make this another 1/4 inch seam, okay? And I'm going to start and stop just like we've talked about before, okay? So I'm going to back stitch there, and now I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. Okay, you guys, I'm going to clip my edges here, and I'll show you what we have so far. So I have now got a 1/4 inch seam all the way around, and you can see it on the back side. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do another seam, and I am going to grab my ruler so I can tell you exactly what distance this seam is, because we want to get past the grommet, okay? The grommet is right here, so we're going to measure down on the grommet, and I am going to do, from the outside, I am going to do about a 1 3/4, okay? So if I were to take my grid here, I am going to look at, to judge where a 1 3/4 is, I am coming on the outside of my machine, okay? So I've got a line right here that I'm going to follow all the way around. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did before. I'm going to put my vinyl part on top, okay? I'm going to start, and I'm going to do a back stitch, and then I'm just going to go all the way around, okay? Completely around, you guys. Okay, I'm at the end. I'm going to do my back stitch and I'm going to cut my threads. Okay, and we are done with the sewing part of this project. We're going to go over to the table and we are going to pull our cord through and put our stop on it, and we are just about done. Okay, so I've got my piece of cord, and on an 18-inch bag, I normally start with about 56 inches worth of cording. It's more than what I need, but it'll assure me that I can get all the way around. And I like to cut it a little bit more because you can always make adjustments afterwards, okay? If you cut it too short though, you got to start over. Okay, so this is pretty easy to guide through. Once we get it through, we're going to put our cord stop on. And then it takes a little bit just to mold your bag a little bit. And what I like to do is even stuff some things in your bag, like you could do your makeup or grab a shirt or something and just shove something in the bag and then draw it shut. And then it just helps that vinyl get used to the way you want it to be. Okay, so I've got it all the way around. And see, I wanted to make sure that I had enough. And that 56, you guys can see I don't have a lot of extra. So I'm going to undo that. Okay, and then I'm going to take these ends and I'm going to thread them through the cord stop. Okay, so the cord stop is right here and you push it, and I like to try to do both at the same time. Sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. At least it was this time though. Okay, I'm going to tie a knot. Just like that. Okay, so my cord will stop. That's why it's called a cord stop. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull our cord stop. See, what happens is we end up getting our cute bag. And this is what I mean about just working it a little bit. You want to work your cord around, okay? And sometimes what I find is it's easier if I have something inside of it when I'm doing it. So I happen to have a shirt sitting right over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that shirt in there, okay? And then if I pull my cord stop, okay? And I'm just going to work it a little bit, okay? You can see. Then I've got that nice and tight, a tight fit. Now I got lots of extra here, you guys, and this is where I like to kind of play with how big or how open do you think you want your bag to be, right? So what I'll do is I will open up my bag again. And it's like, okay, could I get to everything just like that, right? If I can get to everything just like that and I don't want it any more open, I'm going to trim up my cord. But if you want to be able to literally open up your bag all the way so you can see everything in it, you're going to want to leave a lot of extra, okay? So it's your guys' choice how much you want to leave there. Now, one other thing that we could have done that would have been really cute with this bag is we could have added some handles to it, okay? So when I was sewing it, I could have put a handle here so that when we zip it all up or do it all up with the cord stop, right, we would be able to have a little handle. So that's something that you guys could add if you wanted to be able to do that, or you just have the cord like that and you can shove it right in there, throw this in your suitcase, and you've got a makeup bag that is ready to go. So hope you like this Inspiration Friday project using some vinyl or making our material vinyl to make it all waterproof and making this cute makeup bag. So here's the one that we just made now. And here is the other one that I made. So hope you like this project. Thanks so much for joining me for another Inspiration Friday. I hope you enjoyed this project, making a makeup bag with a vinyl liner. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And click on the bell and YouTube will remind you each time I upload a new video. If you have any questions or comments, please add them below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to check out my blog at Fun Stuff Crafts for other DIY projects.